What's up, everybody? Big Mac here, and you are watching the review. A quick note before we get started. The last video I reviewed, I didn't really give too much away on it, which was Flowers in the Attic. And that's because I wanted you to see that. I mean, that movie was such a well-done movie that I wanted you to see it and experience it yourself. But from here on in, it's going to be completely reviewed. There will be spoilers involved. So if you haven't seen whatever I'm reviewing and you want to, I advise you to stop watching the video and go see it and then come back. With that said, let's just jump right into this thing. Today I'll be reviewing Gone Girl, which stars Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, Neil Patrick Harris, Tyler Perry of all people, and Carrie Coon, who, after seeing her in this video, I've developed a brand new crush. she's, yeah. So the movie is about Nick Dunn, who on his 5th wedding anniversary comes home to find his wife Amy, who is a famous author of a pretty successful children's book series. Comes home to find her missing. There's a whole crime scene and everything, and the cops are getting, the cops are involved and all that. He and his twin sister Margot start this whole crusade along with Amy's parents about help me find Amy. And as the movie goes on, the police do their investigation, and there's thought to be incriminating evidence against Nick. And after a while, they found something to make him the main suspect. So now it looks like Nick is the one who actually set all this up to make it look like she's missing, but in fact he may or may not have killed her. And the movie's like a real whodunit. Is she missing? Is she missing? Is she not missing? And after the real plot of the movie reveals itself, it turns out that she's not missing. She's not dead. She's actually framing Nick, her husband, because he cheated on her. I mean, in the beginning, he seems just kind of put off about it, not really concerned about his wife being missing. And you expect to see more emotion out of a guy whose wife is missing after he comes home and there's like blood all over the floor. And he never really freaks out about it. He just, yeah, wife's missing. Here's the number. Call her. And when they do like an official press conference about it, he's like, please find her and all that. But he also like takes a selfie with some random stranger and he's smiling in it. And it's like, that's not what you do if you were, grieving over your wife, And so there's a whole lot of misconception about whether or really not he misses her. And it turns out that the student that he's with, he's cheating on her the entire time. So you don't really believe him, but you want to believe him. And then when you see that she's actually framing him for cheating on her because she knows he's cheating on her, it turns into a completely different movie. And it's like, yes, because the entire time after that, it just gets so much better. Now, like, for me, the movie starts off kind of slow, and like until you find out that Nick's cheating on his wife, you don't really believe his performance. And then after everything happens, you're like, oh, okay, that's why that was going on. And from then on, after you find out the real plot twist, it's like, all right, here we go. So it turns out that Amy is framing Nick for cheating on her, and she's got this whole thing set up like brilliantly. Like from start to finish, she put this thing to work. And Nick ends up having to hire an attorney because, I mean, you find out he's got nothing to do with what's going on. So he hires a pretty darn good attorney. Enter Tyler Perry. And he's like, look, bro, I'm going to get you out of this. We're going to get this thing done. If you're innocent, we will find out. And he actually does a good job of, keeping them calm and saying, hey, these are the steps we need to take. And they go through all that. And it turns out that Amy's just kind of like hiding out of some small town. And she could have got away with this thing, man. The way she had it so brilliantly set up. I mean, she was like days and months ahead of him. Some people that she kind of, I guess, made friends with or whatever, they end up like robbing her after they find out she has some money. Pretty much throws a wrench in her plan. So then she has to call her ex-boyfriend Desi, who's pretty much just in love with her. And he's like, oh man, I'm gonna take you in here. You can go to my lake house. You can stay here. And she feeds this guy, and he falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. But even though she's got a safe haven now, he's thinking that, oh, okay, my love has come back into my life. We're going to do this now. And he starts getting really possessive of her. And she's like, oh, crap. Again, her plan is thwarted. So while all this is happening, Nick is hot on her trail because he finds out some stuff that he's like, wait a second. Because, I mean, she, like, planted a diary and, like, made it look like he burned this diary. And in that diary, she's, like, telling all these kinds of lies about how he's so aggressive with her and how he wants to kill her. And, the like, there's, like, some stuff hidden. And, like, well, before all that, let me get back to this little side note. Nick loses his job as, like, a journalist. And he ends up using her money because she's a, famous writer. He ends up using her money to set up this website or this job. I forget that part of the movie. But he starts a business with her money and increases her life insurance, which at the time he thought were all good ideas. And for their anniversary, he leaves clues for her to come and find him or something like that, like a scavenger hunt. But those clues end up being like evidence against him. So while he's doing all of this stuff, retracing steps and finding out where she is, he finds out that, hold up, something's not right here. That this thing is a whole thing set up by her, and he actually finds it out. So while he's hot on her trail, she finds out, uh-oh, he's coming after me. She figures at some point he's going to find her. So, and now, after she finds out that her ex-boyfriend, Desi, wants more than just hiding her out, she's like, all right, fine. She ends up killing the guy, like, making it look like he's raping her and stuff, and then kills the guy. And it's like, oh man, and that part is the climax of the movie. It's like where everything is like, oh crap, what's gonna happen next? And sadly, after that, she goes back to Nick, to who he is completely shocked at, to see her just pull up in the driveway. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie and you know nothing about it, you go into it, and every time there's a plot twist, it just hits you and you don't see it coming at all. Like, I'm in the theater watching this movie and I'm like, man, oh wow. Every time something else happens, it's like, bam! I didn't see that coming. So the entire time you're watching this and you finally get to the climax of the movie, like, oh, what's going to happen now? And it ends up with her just going back to Nick and convincing him, like, oh, okay, let's be a family again. Let's have a marriage again. He's like, no, what are you talking about? And if your wife sets you up and frames you for murder, are you going back to her? No, you're not. But he ends up doing it and pretty much breaks his twin sister's heart. And she somehow convinces him to be a husband and wife again. And from there, that's how the movie ends, basically. There's no real serious details you need to know about. So my likes and dislikes for this movie, there's a bunch of likes in it. Like I said, I mean, it's a real whodunit type of movie. It's a real good suspenseful movie, and you try to guess. Like anytime I watch a good movie, a good suspense movie, I try to figure it out before it ends. And this one is one of those ones where you do not figure it out until you see what happens, unless you're a lot smarter than me, which there's a good chance you are. But I like movies like that. I like movies that keep you on the edge of your seat and you try to figure out and then you make your brain work the entire time you're doing it. The movie was really well done. It was really well acted. Like I said, it started really slow, and it was kind of like a roller coaster for me. I mean, it just starts slow, and then it kind of escalates a little bit, and then it still goes slower. And then once you get that first plot twist, then when you find out he's cheating on Amy, then you're like, oh, wow. Oh, we can't believe this guy now. Then it takes off a little bit more, and then when you finally find out the actual plot of the movie, that it's a frame-up, it really takes off. And then you're like, yes, this is such a good movie, and I was so into it. And the main reason why I went to see this movie is because the score is done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. And Trent Reznor is like my favorite, musical artist of all time. I mean, I love everything he does. The only thing I haven't really seen was The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, which he and Atticus Ross did that one as well. And they also did, the Social Network. So when I heard that they were doing the score for this movie, I'm like, yep, going to see it. And I did. And so that was also well done. So the movie was brilliantly directed right up until the climax, which is leading me now to the dislikes. And that's pretty much the only thing I dislike, but it's such a bad move. It's so poorly done. That kind of ruins the movie for me. I mean, you're going, and then as soon as they hit the climax, it's like they just ran out of gas and shoot right down off a cliff. It's so crazy. I mean, there was so many plot holes. Like after Amy comes back to Nick all bloodied and looks like she'd been raped and all just done over wrong. She comes back to Nick and he's like, "What the hell is going on here?" And the FBI are now interviewing her and figure out what happened. And the original detective on this whole thing, she's like, okay, this is going on. She's trying to figure things out herself. And she finally gets to the point and finds all this evidence against Nick. And then even with all that, she's like, something's still not right here. So she's not entirely convinced that Nick was the guy who like kidnapped her or killed her or whatever. And then finally she sees what's going on. She starts to figure out, wait a second, this is definitely not how it seems. And so the FBI are investigating, or interviewing her and all that. And then I forget what Nick says to one of the guys who's talking to her. It's like if she's getting raped and all that, how she get a knife? Or something like that blows her alibi way out of the water. And the guy in the FBI agent just blows him off like, you, F you, whatever, bro. Shut up. I mean, the cops had a legitimate case against her. If they did the same work they did against Nick, if they went through the same clues he went through, they could find out that she set all this up. And they never went over that. They just glossed completely over that, just like whatever. And, as the interview's going on with her, you can see there are holes in her story. And she just goes, oh, and I'm tired. I'm so tired. I've been raped and abused. I'm tired. I'm just going to go to sleep. And that's it. They just kind of leave it there. I'm like, seriously? Are you kidding? So finally, you get her and Nick back together at home. She's like, look, we're going to do this. The guy I saw on TV, because he did an interview with some reporter or whatever. And that's when you see Nick really show who he is as a person. Because he nailed that interview. Everybody hates him at that point. And he gets on there and he lays it all out there. And as Amy's watching that interview he did on TV, she's like, that's the man I married. I want him. So that's why she decides to go back to him. And when she does go back to him, she's like, I want that guy I saw on TV. He's like, bitch, you framed me. That's what I would have said. Like, hell no, you framed me. I was about to do jail time. No, I mean, he stays with her, and like I said, he breaks his twin sister's heart. She's like, dude, do not go back to her, and that you see that. But I mean, that's what ruined it for me. I'm like, how do you go back to her? And I remember being in the theater watching that part of the movie, going, I literally out loud as well, what is happening? Because the ending just had to happen so fast, and there was no real development. There's no real, like, they didn't really go on with it. They didn't really venture into any other kind of avenues or what might have got him out of that. But just, nope. That's how it happened. And as with everything I review, I go online to find out if I don't know anything about it, I'll research it. And I went and saw that the novel was written 2 years ago, and in 2012, and the movie pretty much follows exactly how the book goes. So if the movie's that bad, the book is not that much better. I mean, it really isn't. And I was like, maybe they had to hurry it up for time constraints and just get the movie done. Nope, that's how it happens in the book too. So that's my only dislike about the movie, how it just went straight from climax to end, and there was nothing else that could really tie this movie in. And it kind of ruined it so much for me that it went from being a great movie to just kind of, I don't know anymore. So I'm going to give this movie a final rating, which I'll give it about a 6 out of 10. It could have been at least an 8 if it wasn't for that darn ending, man. I mean, it just ruined it so much for me that I can't even really say it's a movie I like anymore. So I advise you to just kind of stay right up until she comes back to Nick. And if you want, you can even stay till after the FBI interview. But after that, I advise you to walk out of the theater right then. Or if you're watching it on DVD, stop it right there and just make it up how you want for the end, because it's not worth sitting through. Trust me, it's really not. All right, so thank you again for watching the review. Let me know if you saw this movie. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I guess that's it, because again, this is like how I feel right now about ending this video. This is how I felt about how the ending for that movie went. It's just Anyway, thank you for watching. Please continue to watch, and see you next time.